The great crystal hall buzzed with voices from across the galaxy. Aliens of every shape and size filled the massive chamber, their different languages creating a symphony of strange sounds. Some looked like giant insects with shiny shells. Others were made of pure energy that glowed and shifted colors, and still others appeared to be living machines with metal skin and glowing eyes. At the center of it all stood High Chancellor Zixthera. She was tall and proud with 6 arms that moved gracefully as she spoke. Her purple skin sparkled under the lights, and her 3 eyes focused on the crowd before her. Today was special. Today marked exactly 500,000 years since their greatest victory. "My fellow beings," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the universal translators that let everyone understand each other. "We gather here to remember our most important triumph. 500,000 years ago, we faced a terrible threat to our peaceful galaxy." The huge screens around the chamber lit up with old images. They showed small, primitive spaceships that looked crude compared to the sleek vessels the aliens now used. The ships were human-made, from a species that no longer existed. The humans, Zixthera continued, were dangerous and wild. They fought wars constantly on their home planet. They could not be trusted to live peacefully with civilized species, like ourselves. Commander Veltar stood up from his seat. He was part of the Ashanti fleet, a group known for their military power. His body was covered in tough, dark scales, and his yellow eyes glowed as he remembered the old days. "The humans refused to follow our rules," Veltar said, his deep voice rumbling through the chamber. "We offered them a place in our galaxy. All they had to do was accept our guidance and stop their violent ways, but they said no." More images flashed on the screens. They showed human soldiers with primitive weapons, their faces twisted with anger and determination. The pictures made them look like savage beasts who cared only about fighting. "We tried to reason with them," added Council Member Thyra from the Kelrani delegation. Her crystal body caught the light and threw rainbows across the wall. "We sent diplomats. We offered trade agreements. We even offered to share some of our technology with them. But they wanted to do things their own way," Zixthera said, shaking her head sadly. "They built weapons instead of farms. They trained soldiers instead of scientists. They prepared for war instead of peace." The alien leaders remembered those days well. Earth had been a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. The humans living there had just learned to travel between planets in their own system. They were like children playing with dangerous toys. "When we arrived at their system, they attacked us immediately," Veltar continued. "No questions, no attempts at communication. They just started shooting." The screens now showed the final battle. Human ships, small and desperate, fighting against the massive alien fleet. The humans fought bravely, but they were completely outmatched. Their weapons barely scratched the alien ships, while the alien weapons tore through human defenses like paper. "The battle lasted only 3 days," Zixthera recalled. "We destroyed their fleet, their space stations, and finally their planet itself. It was a sad but necessary action." The final image showed Earth exploding in a ball of fire and light. The planet that had given birth to humanity was gone, taking the last of the human race with it. "Since that day," Zixthera announced, "our galaxy has known perfect peace. No species has dared to challenge our authority. No wars have been fought between civilized peoples. The removal of the human threat allowed all of us to prosper." The alien council members clicked, buzzed, and hummed their agreement. They were proud of what they had accomplished. The galaxy was indeed peaceful now. Trade flowed freely between worlds. Different species worked together on great projects. Art and science flourished everywhere. "Look at what we have built," said Elder Morpheus of the Eternal Collective, his energy form pulsing with satisfaction. "Thousands of worlds live in harmony. Our children grow up never knowing war or fear." "The humans could have been part of this," added Counselor Nexus, her mechanical voice precise and clear. "If only they had been willing to learn from their betters. But the humans had been too proud, too stubborn, too violent. They could not accept that other species might know better than they did. They could not imagine a galaxy where different peoples worked together instead of fighting each other. Today we honor not just our victories, Ixthera said, but our wisdom in making the hard choice. Sometimes, to save many lives, a few must be lost. The council erupted in applause. Thousands of alien hands, claws, tentacles, and energy forms showed their approval. They had made the right choice 500,000 years ago, and the peace they enjoyed now proved it. Let this day remind us all, Ixthera concluded, that civilization requires order. Order requires authority, and authority sometimes requires difficult decisions. As the ceremony continued, the aliens shared stories of their achievements. They talked about new worlds they had discovered, new technologies they had developed, and new art forms they had created. Everything was possible because they had eliminated the one species that could not live peacefully with others. To the next 500,000 years of peace, Veltar raised his ceremonial cup. To wisdom over violence, added Thyra. To the galaxy we have built together, concluded Ixthera. The celebration went on for hours. Music from a dozen different worlds filled the air. Foods and drinks from across the galaxy were shared freely. Young aliens learned about the old days from their elders, understanding why the human threat had to be ended. None of them noticed the tiny sensors hidden throughout their great hall. None of them realized that every word they spoke was being recorded and transmitted across the galaxy. None of them suspected that somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the descendants of those long-dead humans were listening to every word. The aliens celebrated their greatest victory, never knowing that their greatest defeat was yet to come. The galaxy they thought they ruled was about to change forever, and the species they thought they had destroyed was about to remind them who really held the power. But for now, they celebrated in ignorance, proud of their peaceful galaxy and the wise decisions that had made it possible. Deep underground on a planet the aliens called Worthless, Captain Jake Morrison sat in front of dozens of glowing screens. The planet above him was constantly hit by electrical storms that made it impossible for most alien species to live there. That was exactly why humans had chosen it as one of their main bases. Jake was old, much older than any human from ancient Earth could have lived. Advanced medical treatments had kept him strong and healthy for over 200 years. His gray, hair and lined face showed his age, but his eyes were sharp and alert as he watched the alien celebration. "Lisa, come look at this," he called to his second-in-command. Captain Lisa Bell walked over from her desk where she had been studying reports from human colonies scattered across the galaxy. She was younger than Jake, only about 150 years old, with brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail. "What are they up to now?" she asked, looking at the screens showing the alien council. "Same old story," Jake replied. "They're still congratulating themselves for killing us all." Lisa shook her head and smiled grimly. "If they only knew how wrong they are." The underground base stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of humans worked here, monitoring alien communications, planning operations, and coordinating with other hidden human settlements. The aliens thought this planet was dead and empty, but it was actually one of the most important worlds in human space. Jake pressed a button and spoke into his communication device. "Get me Director Collins on Titan and patch in Commander Brooks from the Outer Rim." Within minutes, two faces appeared on the main screen. Director Patricia Collins looked tired but determined. Her silver hair was neat and professional, and her lab coat showed that she had been working on some new project. Commander Richard Brooks appeared to be on a ship somewhere, with stars visible through the window behind him. "Jake," Patricia said, "I saw the alien broadcast. They're really enjoying their anniversary celebration." 500,000 years, Richard added, "and they still have no idea we're out here." Jake leaned back in his chair. "The question is, how much longer do we stay hidden? Our technology is now far beyond anything they have. Our population has grown to levels they can't imagine. Maybe it's time to show ourselves." Patricia nodded slowly. "The quantum drives are working perfectly. Our ships can travel faster than anything in their fleet. The new weapon systems could disable their entire navy without destroying a single ship." "What about our numbers?" Jake asked. Richard consulted his datapad. "We now have over 12,000 colonies spread across the galaxy, Most of them are on planets the aliens consider uninhabitable or worthless. We have mobile space cities that move constantly to avoid detection. Our total population is now over 40 billion people. Lisa whistled softly. 40 billion. And they think they wiped us out completely. The truth was amazing. When the aliens had attacked Earth 500,000 years ago, most humans had already left the planet. Secret ships had been carrying people to hidden bases for decades before the attack. The humans who stayed behind and fought were heroes, who chose to die to protect the secret of humanity's survival. The aliens destroyed Earth, Jake said quietly. But Earth was just one world. We had already spread to hundreds of others. The plan had been brilliant in its simplicity. Let the aliens think they had won completely. Let them believe humans were extinct. While they celebrated and grew comfortable, humans would build their strength in secret. We've been watching them for 5 centuries, Patricia continued. We know everything about their technology, their politics, their military capabilities. We've even helped them sometimes, though they never knew it. Helped them? Lisa asked. Richard smiled. Remember the Vorthon Civil War about 200 years ago? It was heading toward a galactic conflict that would have killed billions. We secretly provided information to both sides that led to a peaceful solution. And the Great Plague that hit the Kelrani homeworld, Patricia added. We developed the cure and made sure their scientists discovered it just in time. Jake nodded. We've been the invisible guardians of galactic peace. The aliens think their civilization is so advanced and peaceful because they're naturally wise. They don't know that we've been preventing disasters and guiding their development for centuries. The irony was perfect. The species the aliens had tried to destroy for being too violent had actually been protecting them from wars and disasters. Humanity had become the secret peacekeepers of the galaxy. Our manufacturing capabilities are incredible now, Patricia reported. The automated factories can build anything we need. Ships, weapons, habitats, even entire cities. And all of it is invisible to alien sensors. The cloaking technology works that well? Lisa asked. Better than that, Richard answered. We don't just hide from their sensors. We can make their sensors show them whatever we want them to see. As far as they know, the space around their worlds is completely empty. Jake stood up and walked to a large display showing a map of the galaxy. Tiny dots of light marked human colonies, bases, and mobile fleets. There were so many that the map looked like it was covered in stars. We've built the most advanced civilization in galactic history, he said, and we did it right under their noses. The question is, Patricia said, what do we do now? We could continue hiding forever, or we could reveal ourselves and take our rightful place in the galaxy. There's a third option, Richard suggested. We could take control openly. With our technology and numbers, we could easily conquer every alien species. Jake shook his head firmly. No, we're not conquerors. We never were. That's what the aliens never understood about us. Then what? Lisa asked. Jake looked at his friends and colleagues. These humans who had dedicated their lives to protecting a galaxy that didn't even know they existed. We give them a choice. We reveal ourselves gradually and offer partnership, true partnership between equals. And if they refuse? Richard asked. Then we show them what they're really dealing with, Jake replied. Not as conquerors, but as the guardians we've always been. Patricia smiled. I like it. We've spent 500,000 years learning everything about them. Now it's time for them to learn about us. How do we start? Lisa wondered. Jake turned back to the screen showing the alien celebration. We wait for the right moment. And when it comes, we make sure they understand that the galaxy is much bigger and more complicated than they ever imagined. The decision was made. After 500,000 years of hiding, humanity was ready to step out of the shadows. The aliens who thought they ruled the galaxy were about to discover that they had never been alone, and that the species they had tried to destroy had actually been protecting them all along. The greatest reveal in galactic history was about to begin. Subcommander Thisara was having a normal day patrolling the outer edges of Vorthon space when her ship's sensors started acting strange. She was checking a system that was supposed to be completely empty when her instruments detected something that should not exist. "Run the scan again," she ordered her crew, her three eyes focusing intently on the readings. Her ship was one of the most advanced in the Vorton fleet, equipped with sensors that could detect a small asteroid from halfway across a solar system. But now those same sensors were showing her something impossible. "Commander," her tactical officer reported, his voice shaking slightly. "There's definitely something there. It's huge, but it's not showing up on our standard scans." Thisera moved closer to the display screen. The readings made no sense. According to the gravity sensors, there was a massive object in the supposedly empty space ahead of them. But their visual and electromagnetic sensors showed nothing but stars and darkness. "It's like something is there but invisible," her science officer added. "The gravitational signature suggests something at least the size of a small moon." "That's impossible," Thisera muttered. "Our sensors can detect anything larger than a fighter craft. There's no stealth technology in the galaxy that could hide something that big." But even as she spoke, she knew something was very wrong. Her ship's computer was running constant checks, and every system confirmed the same impossible reading. Something enormous was hiding in the darkness ahead of them. "Commander," her communications officer suddenly spoke up, "we're receiving a transmission." "From where?" Thisera asked. "There are no other ships in this system. It's coming from the gravitational anomaly," the officer replied, his face pale with confusion. Before Thisera could respond, her main screen activated without any command from her crew. A face appeared that made her four hearts skip a beat. It was unmistakably human, but not like the primitive humans from the old historical records. This human looked refined, intelligent, and completely calm. "Greetings, Subcommander Thisera," the human said in perfect Vorthon. "I am Admiral Kevin Turner of the Terran Strategic Fleet. You have discovered one of our research platforms." Thisera felt her legs grow weak. "You're human, but that's impossible. Humans are extinct. We destroyed your entire species 500,000 years ago." Admiral Turner smiled slightly, and the expression was neither angry nor threatening. It was almost sad. "You destroyed a planet, Sub-Commander. You never destroyed us." "This can't be real," Thisera said, but her voice lacked confidence. "Our records are complete. Every human ship was tracked and eliminated. Every human colony was found and destroyed. Your records show exactly what we wanted them to show," Turner replied calmly. "Every battle your forces won, every human ship you destroyed, every colony you found was carefully planned by us. We fed you information. We let you destroy empty bases and old ships. We even sacrificed some of our own people to make the deception believable." The words hit Thisera like physical blows. "You're saying your entire species faked its own extinction?" "Not faked," Turner corrected. "We simply allowed you to believe what you wanted to believe. You came to our system expecting to find primitive, violent savages. We gave you exactly what you expected to see." Thisera's crew was working frantically at their stations, trying to understand what was happening. Their ship's sensors were now detecting dozens of massive objects appearing around them. Ships were decloaking, becoming visible one by one until Thisera's small vessel was surrounded by a fleet that made her own people's greatest warships look like toys. "This is Admiral Turner to all human vessels in the area," Turner announced, apparently speaking to his own fleet. "Continue standard protocols. Our guest is not to be harmed." "Guest?" Thisera asked weakly. "You're the first alien to discover one of our facilities in over 2 centuries, Turner explained. "We've been waiting for this moment. It's time for our people to meet properly." Thisera looked around at the human ships surrounding her vessel. They were beautiful in a way that alien ship design had never achieved. Smooth, elegant curves that seemed to flow like water, materials that seemed to absorb and reflect light in impossible ways, and the size of them was overwhelming. "How many of you are there?" she asked. "More than your people could imagine," Turner replied. "We've been growing and building for 500,000 years while you celebrated our destruction. We now have colonies throughout the galaxy." "Where?" "Our surveys have mapped every inhabited system." Turner's smile grew wider. You've mapped every system that you considered worth inhabiting. We chose all the others. The worlds with too much radiation for your species, the systems with unstable stars, the planets with toxic atmospheres. We made homes in places you would never think to look. The tactical officer at Thyssara's side was studying the human ships with professional interest. "Commander," he whispered, "their technology is far beyond ours. Their engines alone are producing energy signatures I don't understand." "We've had a long time to develop," Turner said, apparently having heard the comment. "While your people spent centuries in political debates and territorial disputes, we focused entirely on advancement, science, technology, exploration, growth. What do you want from us?" Thyssara asked, trying to maintain some dignity despite her overwhelming fear. "To talk," Turner replied simply. "We're transmitting a set of coordinates to your ship's computer. If your leaders wish to discuss the future of this galaxy, they should come to those coordinates in exactly 72 hours. And if we refuse," Turner's expression grew serious, "then you'll continue believing you rule a galaxy that you never actually controlled. But eventually, other alien ships will discover us just as you have. The secret will come out one way or another." Thyssara realized the implications of what she was hearing. "You've been watching us. All this time you've been observing our civilizations." "We've been protecting you," Turner corrected. "Do you remember the Ashanti expansion wars 300 years ago? They were stopped by a mysterious plague that affected only their military forces. That was us. The Kelrani resource crisis that ended when they discovered those new mineral deposits?" Thyssara asked, beginning to understand. "Also us. The cognitive uprising that ended peacefully when their leaders suddenly developed new diplomatic skills?" Turner nodded. "Us again." The scope of the revelation was staggering. For centuries, every major crisis in alien civilization had been secretly resolved by the humans they thought they had destroyed. "Why?" Thyssara asked. "Why help us? We tried to kill your entire species." "Because that's who we are," Turner replied. "You looked at humanity and saw violence and chaos, but what you really saw was a species that would fight to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. We've been doing the same thing for your people that we tried to do for our own." The human ships around Thyssara's vessel began to cloak, again, disappearing one by one until only Turner's massive platform remained visible. 72 hours, Sub-Commander," Turner said. "Come prepared to listen, and come ready to accept that the galaxy is much larger than your people ever imagined." The transmission ended, and Turner's ship vanished as completely as if it had never been there. But Thyssara's sensors still detected its gravitational signature, a reminder that humanity was real and had been hiding in plain sight all along. As her ship turned toward home, Thyssara knew that everything was about to change. The peaceful galaxy the aliens had enjoyed for 500,000 years had been maintained by the species they thought they had destroyed. And now, that species was ready to step out of the shadows and reclaim their place among the stars. High Chancellor Zixathara stood in the emergency council chamber, her 6 arms shaking with a mixture of rage and disbelief. The report from Sub-Commander Thyssara had sent shockwaves through every alien government in the galaxy. Around the great circular table, representatives from dozens of species argued in their native languages while universal translators worked overtime to keep up. "This must be some kind of elaborate trick," declared Chancellor Mordun of the Ashanti fleet, his scaled face twisted with anger. "Humans were barely capable of traveling between planets when we destroyed them. The idea that they could have fooled us for 500,000 years is ridiculous." Elder Morpheus of the Eternal Collective pulsed with agitated colors. "The evidence cannot be ignored. Our best sensors confirm the presence of technology beyond our current understanding. Technology that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly," added Counselor Nexus, her mechanical voice precise as always. "This suggests capabilities far exceeding our own." Zixathara raised 2 of her arms for silence. The chamber slowly quieted as all eyes turned to her. "Regardless of what we believe or want to believe, we must respond to this situation. The coordinates have been transmitted to all of our governments. You're not seriously considering going to this meeting," Mordun protested. "It could be a trap." Everything could be a trap, Zixthara replied. But if humans have truly survived and developed this level of technology while remaining hidden, then we need to understand what we're dealing with. The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to send military fleets to investigate every supposedly empty system in the galaxy. Others suggested trying to find and destroy these hidden human colonies before they could reveal themselves. A few even proposed attempting to negotiate from a position of strength. In the end, Zixthara made the decision that would change galactic history. We will go to the coordinates, but we will go prepared. 3 days later, the largest alien fleet ever assembled arrived at the coordinates provided by the humans. Hundreds of warships from every major species formed a massive formation in what appeared to be empty space at the edge of the galaxy. Their combined firepower was enough to destroy entire solar systems. Sensors show nothing, reported Fleet Admiral Veltar from his flagship. Whatever was here before is gone now. But even as he spoke, space around them began to change. One by one, massive structures appeared as if materializing from nothing. Ships larger than anything the aliens had ever built hung motionless in perfect formation. Space stations the size of moons rotated slowly in the distance. And everywhere, smaller vessels moved in patterns so complex and coordinated that they seemed almost alive. By the ancient stars, whispered Elder Morpheus, how many of them are there? The answer became clear as more and more human vessels decloaked. The alien fleet, impressive as it was, found itself completely surrounded by a force that dwarfed them in every possible way. Not just in numbers, but in the obvious technological superiority of every human ship. A single face appeared on every screen in the alien fleet. An elderly human man with kind eyes and gray hair smiled at them as if greeting old friends. Chancellor, Zixthara, Admiral Veltar, honored council members, he said warmly. I'm President William Hayes of the Terran Federation. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Zixthara found her voice despite her shock. What do you want from us? To finally meet properly, Hayes replied. For 500,000 years, we've watched your civilizations grow and develop. We've seen your achievements, your art, your science, your culture. We've also seen your limitations and your mistakes. Behind Hayes, holographic displays filled the space around the alien fleet. Detailed reports on every alien species appeared, showing their military capabilities, political structures, technological development, even psychological profiles of individual leaders. The depth of information was overwhelming. You know everything. About us, Zixthara realized. We know more about your species than you know about yourselves, Hayes confirmed. We speak your languages better than your own scholars. We understand your technology so completely that we've been quietly improving it through your own research networks for centuries. Admiral Veltar leaned forward aggressively. You admit to infiltrating our systems? To spying on us? We admit. To preventing wars that would have killed billions of your people, Hayes replied calmly. To guiding discoveries that advanced your civilizations. To maintaining the peace that you credited yourselves with achieving. New displays appeared, showing incidents from alien history that every council member recognized. The Great Plague that had threatened the Kelrani homeworld. The Ashanti Civil War that had ended mysteriously. The Vorthon resource crisis that had been solved by an unexpected discovery. Every major crisis your civilizations faced was resolved with our help, Hayes continued. We prevented 14 separate galactic wars. We guided the development of clean energy technology for 12 different species. We helped establish the trade networks that form the backbone of your current prosperity. The scope of human involvement in alien affairs was staggering. For centuries, every major achievement and every peaceful resolution had been secretly guided by the species the aliens thought they had destroyed. Why? Asked Elder Morpheus, his energy form flickering with confusion. Why help us? We tried. To exterminate your entire species. Hayes's expression grew sad. Because that's what humans do. We protect those who need protection, even when they don't realize they need it. You looked at our species and saw violence and chaos, but what you really saw was a people willing to fight for what's right. You're saying you've been ruling us. From the shadows, Counselor Nexus stated. We've been serving you from the shadows, Hayes corrected. There's a difference. Rulers seek to control and dominate. Servants seek to help and protect. We chose to be servants. Admiral Veltar's anger was obvious. And now you decide to reveal yourselves. Why now? Because your civilizations have reached a level of maturity where you can handle the truth, Hayes replied. And because it's time for us to work together, openly instead of hiding in the darkness. Chancellor Morden laughed bitterly. Work together? You hold all the power. Your technology is clearly superior. Your numbers are obviously greater. What kind of partnership is possible between a master and a slave? The same kind that allowed your species to thrive for 500,000 years without major wars or catastrophic failures, Hayes answered. We don't want to be your masters any more than we wanted to be your hidden servants. We want to be your partners. The human fleet around them shifted position slightly, and the aliens realized that despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, they felt no sense of immediate threat. The humans could have destroyed every alien ship in minutes, but instead they had arranged themselves in a clearly non-aggressive formation. What happens now? Zixthara asked. Hayes smiled again. Now we begin the real work. We have technologies to share that will advance your civilizations by thousands of years. You have perspectives and insights that will help us continue growing. As well, together we can accomplish things that none of us could achieve alone. And if we refuse, Veltar demanded, then we go back to the way things were, Hayes replied sadly. You return to believing you rule the galaxy while we continue, protecting you from the shadows. But that would be a waste of potential for all of us. The implications of the choice before them were enormous. They could accept humanity as partners and enter a new age of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. Or they could reject the offer and return to their illusion of control while the real power in the galaxy remained hidden. You're asking us to accept that everything we believed about ourselves and our history is wrong, Zixthara said. I'm asking you to accept that. Your history is more complex and beautiful than you realized, Hayes replied. Your achievements are real. Your civilizations are remarkable. The only difference is that you weren't alone in building them. The alien council members looked at each other, then at the massive human fleet surrounding them. The species they had thought extinct had not only survived, but had become the secret guardians of galactic peace. Now those guardians were offering to step into the light and work together openly for the first time in recorded history. The choice would reshape the galaxy forever. The negotiations took place over several weeks on a massive human space station that appeared near the meeting coordinates. The station was larger than most alien cities, with sections designed to accommodate every type of species in the galaxy. Walking through its corridors, the alien representatives saw technology that seemed like magic compared to their own achievements. President Hayes led the alien delegation through the station's central hub, where humans and the few aliens who had already agreed to the partnership worked side by side. Children from various species played together in parks that recreated dozens of different planetary environments. Scientists from different worlds collaborated on projects that would have been impossible for any single civilization to achieve. This is what we're offering, Hayes explained as they watched a group of young Kelrani learning human mathematics from a patient teacher. Not dominance, not control, but true cooperation. High Chancellor Zixthara studied the scene carefully. How do we know you won't simply take over our governments once we agree to this partnership? Admiral Kevin Turner, who had joined the negotiations after his encounter with Subcommander Thisara, answered her question. Because we've had the power to take over your governments for centuries, and we never did. If we wanted to rule you, we wouldn't have spent 500,000 years hiding our existence. The discussions were difficult. Centuries of alien pride had to be balanced against the reality of human technological superiority. Many alien leaders struggled to accept that their peaceful galaxy had been maintained by the species they thought they had destroyed. What guarantees do we have? Asked Chancellor Morden, who had been the most resistant to the partnership idea. How do we know you won't decide we're too troublesome and eliminate us as you originally feared we would do to you? Dr. Patricia Collins, who had arrived from the Titan research facility, spread out holographic displays showing human colonies throughout the galaxy. Look at our track record. We've had the power to eliminate any threats to ourselves for thousands of years. Instead, we chose to protect and guide. That's not going to change now. The displays showed the true scope of human civilization. 12,000 inhabited worlds, most of them in systems the aliens had never bothered to explore. Massive space-based cities that moved freely through the galaxy, research stations that had been developing new technologies for centuries, and everywhere, humans living peacefully and working to improve their knowledge of the universe. Your population growth must have been incredible, observed Elder Morpheus. Commander Richard Brooks nodded. Over 40 billion humans now live throughout the galaxy. But we've been careful to avoid overusing resources or damaging environments. Our technology allows us to live in harmony with natural systems rather than destroying them. The alien representatives were shown manufacturing facilities that could create anything needed without producing waste, energy systems that drew power from sources the aliens had never imagined, transportation networks that allowed instant communication and travel across the entire galaxy. This is beyond anything we ever dreamed of achieving, admitted Counselor Nexus. It's beyond anything any single species could achieve, Hayes replied. But together we can go even further. The breakthrough came when Sub-Commander Thyssara, who had become something of a celebrity among both humans and aliens as the first to make contact, suggested a gradual integration approach. We don't have to change everything overnight. She said during one of the negotiation sessions, humans have been patient for 500,000 years. They can be patient for a few more decades while we adjust to this new reality. Hayes smiled at her suggestion. That's exactly what we had in mind. We'll reveal ourselves slowly to your populations. We'll share our technologies gradually, allowing your scientists to understand and adapt them. We'll work together on joint projects that benefit everyone. The final agreement took the form of the Galactic Cooperation Accord. Under its terms, humanity would gradually reveal its existence to alien populations over a period of 50 years. Human colonies would be officially recognized and given representation in an expanded Galactic Council. Technology sharing would begin immediately, but proceed at a pace that wouldn't disrupt alien societies. Most importantly, the principle of conquest and domination that had driven alien expansion for millennia would be officially abandoned. The new galaxy would be built on cooperation, mutual respect, and shared advancement. What about those who refuse to accept the new order? Asked Admiral Veltar, who had surprised everyone by becoming one of the strongest supporters of the partnership. They'll be given time to change their minds, Hayes replied. And if they don't, they'll find themselves increasingly isolated as the rest of the galaxy moves forward together. The first public revelation came 6 months later. Human ships appeared openly in the skies of major alien worlds. But instead of weapons, they carried gifts, medical supplies that could cure diseases thought incurable, agricultural technology that could feed entire planets, clean energy systems that could power civilizations without environmental damage. The reaction was mixed. Some alien populations panicked, thinking the humans had returned for revenge. Others were amazed by the technology and eager to learn. Most were simply confused, trying to understand how the supposedly extinct species had not only survived, but become the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and serving as humanity's first official ambassador to the Alien Council, addressed the concerns directly in his first public speech. We know this is difficult to understand, he said, speaking to representatives from hundreds of worlds. For centuries, you've believed that humans were violent and dangerous. But we ask you to judge us by our actions, not by old fears. We've been living peacefully in your galaxy for 500,000 years. We've been helping your civilizations grow and prosper. We're the same species we've always been. The transformation of galactic society was remarkable. Within 10 years, joint human-alien research teams had made breakthroughs that advanced medicine, energy production, and space travel far beyond what either group could have achieved alone. Art and culture flourished as different species shared their unique perspectives and traditions. Trade networks expanded as human manufacturing capabilities were combined with alien creativity and innovation. Worlds that had been considered worthless became thriving colonies as human technology made previously uninhabitable planets suitable for diverse forms of life. Perhaps most importantly, conflicts between alien species virtually disappeared, with humans openly serving as mediators and peacekeepers. Disputes that might have led to wars were resolved through negotiation and compromise. "It's like the galaxy has grown up," observed Thisara, who had become the alien liaison to Human Space Command. "We spent so much time fighting over resources and territory that we never realized how much we could accomplish by working together." 25. Years after first contact, President Hayes, now elderly even by human standards, stood before the new Galactic Assembly. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds filled the massive chamber, with humans and aliens working side by side in positions of authority throughout the government. "When my ancestors first ventured into space," he said, "they dreamed of finding other intelligent life among the stars. They imagined the wonders we might discover together and the problems we might solve by combining our knowledge and abilities." Paused, looking out at the diverse crowd of beings before him. "They also feared that we might not be welcomed, that our differences might lead to conflict rather than cooperation. For a time, those fears seemed justified. But today we can see that their dreams were the stronger force. Together we've built something none of us could have created alone. A galaxy where different species work together instead of fighting each other, where knowledge is shared freely and advancement benefits everyone." Hayes smiled as applause filled the chamber, coming from beings with hands, claws, tentacles, and energy forms. The aliens who attacked Earth 500,000 years ago were wrong about humanity, but they were also wrong about themselves. They had the capacity for cooperation and growth that they just hadn't discovered yet. It just took time for all of us to realize that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. The applause continued as Hayes concluded his speech. "Today we're not humans and aliens anymore. We're simply the people of the galaxy, working together to build a better future for all of us." The species that had once boasted of conquering, humanity had instead discovered that they had been conquered by something far more powerful than any weapon or technology. They had been conquered by the simple human belief that cooperation was stronger than conflict, that protection was better than domination, and that the galaxy was big enough for everyone to prosper together. Humanity's greatest victory wasn't their technology or their hidden strength. It was proving that the species the aliens had feared for its violence was actually the one that would unite the galaxy in peace.